My name is Ulli Reiner. I'm the orchestra director at Bernardo Heights Middle School and Twin Peaks Middle School, both of which are in the Poway Unified School District in San Diego, California. Today we have the Bernardo Heights Advanced 7th and 8th grade orchestra. We are working on The Entrance of the Queen of Sheba by Handel, arranged by Fischer. What we're doing is implementing our 10 points of sight reading into all our music, not only just a piece that we're sight reading for the first time, but we have discovered that we implement all 10 of these points into every piece, whether we do it automatically or by referring to the sheet of paper that I've passed out and that we've learned in 6th grade through 7th and 8th grade orchestra program here in the middle school program. So we begin with the title of piece, then the clef. Then we look to the composer, which will also then tell us the period of music history, where we do research on why the piece was written and perhaps what motivated the composer. Then we check the key signature, the time signature, again, the style of piece in reference to bowing style, the articulation, dynamics, and then last of all, we skim the piece, kind of I call it a music GPS kind of system where we skim through and see where repeats are, where do we go back to the beginning, where are the tutti sections and solo sections, all the different directions that give us a heads up on the piece and give us a clear kind of indication of where we're going with the piece. So we'll begin today. All right, so let's go ahead now and start. And before we play and start this piece, let's talk a little bit again about the composer. We know it's Handel. What period of music history are we referring to with this piece?
Baroque.
Baroque. What does that then tell us about the articulation with the bowings?
It'll be really staccato.
Very staccato. How do we play staccato? Who can describe that for us?
You play with shorter bows that have more pressure.
Okay, very good. So shorter bows with more pressure. However, when you press into the string, what do you have to immediately remember in order to release that sound with each note so you don't crunch?
You press and release.
Press and release, press and release. And you do that with the wrist motion of your bow arm. Very good. Now, who wrote this? Mr. Handel. Okay, from the Baroque period. What are some other pieces that he wrote we're very familiar with?
Handel's Messiah?
The Messiah, yes. Okay, it's played both around the holiday season and also Easter. Very long piece. If you do the entirety, it's like 3 hours, but sometimes it's divided into different periods. But what can we talk about? Who's done some research as far as what was this piece written for? Who can tell us?
The story is that the Queen of Sheba goes to meet the King of Israel, named King Solomon, to find truth, integrity, and honesty in him.
Okay, interesting story with that. So this piece is going to signify what? Again, on style. When we play this, we know it's staccato, it's Baroque. But what else can you tell us?
It has to be grand.
It has to be grand. What's another word that comes very close to grand?
Magnificent.
Magnificent or?
Majestic.
Majestic. So with a great deal of pride and integrity. So let's go ahead and begin. So let's remember our dynamics. Let's remember to make a lot of contrast in that, and then we'll stop and fix a few things as we go along. Okay, here we go. Very nice, beautiful opening. Now, who has the melody in the beginning? Where is that melody line?
In the second violins.
In the second violins. What does everyone else here have? Who can tell me? What's happening in the cellos and actually in the first violins as well? Who can tell us?
The harmony.
The harmony part. So it's important. But even though you have a forte dynamic, what do you have to remember to do with that forte? Are you above the melody, or do you have to make sure you hear that melody and bring your part down a little bit? Which is it? Who can tell us?
We're below the melody.
You're a little bit below. And second violins, because you have this majestic melody, what do you have to do?
Play louder.
Play louder. Okay, more bow pressure, yes. And what else? You've got these long dotted half notes. You could make those sound more majestic by doing what?
Vibrato.
Vibrato. Okay, let's do that. All right, so let's see if we can be much more mindful of where the melody is here until the two soloists come in. And then when the two soloists come in, what's your dynamic going to be? Okay, forte. So you have to bring that out because all of a sudden the rest of the orchestra drops out. And you will all keep your instruments up and your bows on the string ready to go for what section? When do you come back in again? How do you know?
At the tutti.
At the tutti section, correct. Okay, here we go. Beautiful. Back to the beginning. So let's have that melody line in the second violins. Bring that out. So you're going to need to start at the frog so you can get that dotted half note in for a full bow length. And the rest of you are more in the middle for what kind of bowing style? Staccato. Yes. Okay, here we go. Very good. 1, 2, Very nice. You could actually bring those solo lines out even more, and everyone has dropped off beautifully. Now we have a change when we get to measure 13. The second violins, you no longer have the melody, do you? What do you have here? You've changed to what?
Short staccato quarter notes.
To quarter notes. So you're more of an accompaniment. So where is the melody here? Where does it happen to be?
The first violins.
First violins, and it's in those moving eighth notes. So guess what you get to do?
Play forte.
Play forte, but more like what kind of a forte? We've talked about that. Is it melodic or harmonic?
Melodic.
Melodic. So you can bring that out more, okay? And the rest of you, you're the heartbeat. So you have to be aware of a couple things. Make sure you match on the length of the quarter notes, and you have them also in the cello section, right? And you need to bring your part out. So let's do that right here at 13. So we've just concluded the melody has now been passed from the second violins to the firsts. Here we go, right at number 13. Here we go. Very nice. 1, 2, ready, and. Tempo, who can tell me?
We slowed down.
We slowed down a little bit. We lost a little bit of the energy. How can we get that back? Couple things. It needs to be what? A little more driven here in the cello section. Absolutely. Say that again.
Energetic.
Energetic, right. Okay, so those quarter notes really have to bite into the string, and I think first violins you could come out more. What else can you do to your dynamic? Got some things I can see in your line. Yes?
You can add crescendos and decrescendos.
Okay, how are we going to do that? And where are we going to do that? Let's talk about that.
When it's more higher notes, we play more louder, and when it's more lower, then we play quieter.
Very good. So when you have an ascending line, the notes are going kind of up in a scale passage. You can play louder. Bring that up. Okay, make a crescendo there. And then when they come down, diminuendo a little bit. So to me, it reminds me kind of like of ocean waves. That's what I think of. I mean, we all have kind of an image in our mind. But let's see if we could do more of that, first violins. I think that will help keep the tempo and the energy going as well. So I'd like to back up, but not all the way. Let's go to number 9, though, okay? No, actually 13, sorry, 13, number 13. Because that is where the melody was passed into the first violins. So first violins, more contrast and dynamics, even within your forte. Bring those out, especially the ascending lines. And you know what you could do to do that? What would help? Move, right, move your body. Move with the music. That helps give you energy too. All right, number 13. And don't get louder than them. Make sure that you can what?
Hear them.
You hear them, absolutely.